What's up, Steelers Nation? The Pittsburgh Steelers are working tirelessly to improve their roster, ensuring they put themselves in the best position to compete at the highest level in 2025. With so many moving parts this offseason, Pittsburgh remains one of the most intriguing teams in the league, and today we have a major update that could shake up everything. But before we dive in, if you love getting the latest Steelers news and analysis, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, let's get into it. The Steelers have been the center of quarterback discussions all offseason. First, they moved on from Kenny Pickett. Then they watched both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields leave town. That left a massive question mark under center. And for weeks now, the biggest story has been the potential signing of Aaron Rodgers. The future Hall of Famer visited the Steelers over a week ago, sparking excitement and speculation among fans. But as of now, he remains unsigned, leaving many to wonder, what happens if Rodgers doesn't come to Pittsburgh? According to reports, the Steelers may already have a contingency plan in place, and it involves another experienced quarterback. Cleveland.com's Mary Kay Cabot reported that if Rodgers doesn't sign, Pittsburgh could pursue Kirk Cousins. That's right, Cousins, the four-time Pro Bowl QB, who just signed a massive 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons, could potentially be on the move again. At first glance, this might seem like a long shot. After all, Atlanta committed $100 million in guaranteed money to Cousins just last offseason. However, with the Falcons drafting Michael Penix Jr. as their quarterback of the future, there's a chance they could be open to moving on from Cousins sooner than expected. Atlanta even recently paid Cousins a significant bonus rather than releasing him, signaling that they may be keeping their options open. For the Steelers, this would be a desperate move, but given the circumstances, it's one they may need to consider. If Rodgers decides not to play in 2025, Pittsburgh would be left with only Mason Rudolph as their primary option. While Rudolph has had flashes of solid play, he has not proven to be a long-term solution at the position. There are a few key factors to consider if the Steelers actually go after Cousins. First and foremost, his contract. Cousins' massive deal means any team trading for him would need to take on a significant portion of his salary. That's a tough pill to swallow, but Pittsburgh may be willing to do it if they believe he gives them the best shot at competing right now. Another issue is Cousins' no-trade clause. He has full control over where he goes, meaning he would have to approve any move. The good news? If Pittsburgh expresses interest, there's a strong chance he would agree to it. The Steelers have a talented roster, a strong coaching staff, and an opportunity for Cousins to step in as the clear-cut starter. However, there's also the question of how well he would fit in Arthur Smith's offense. Cousins has always been a high-volume passer who thrives in a structured system. Smith's offense, meanwhile, is built around the run game and play-action passing. Could Cousins adjust to that scheme? That remains to be seen. Speaking of Arthur Smith, his offensive philosophy has been a major topic of discussion in Pittsburgh. When he was hired as offensive coordinator before the 2024 season, many believed he would revamp the Steelers' offense, particularly when it came to utilizing the tight ends. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen last year. While Pat Freiermuth posted solid numbers, tying his career high with 7 touchdowns, his target share remained one of the lowest among starting tight ends in the league. Meanwhile, Darnell, Washington, who many expected to have a breakout year, saw only 25 targets all season. Given Smith's past success with tight ends in Tennessee and Atlanta, this was disappointing. Steelers reporter Brian Batko recently highlighted this issue, pointing out that Pittsburgh has yet to fully unlock the potential of their tight ends. Washington, in particular, has all the tools to be a dominant force: massive hands, incredible size, and natural athleticism. Yet, he's been used primarily as a blocker rather than a receiving weapon. That's something that needs to change in 2025. If the Steelers want their offense to be more dynamic, they must incorporate their tight ends more effectively. And with a potential quarterback transition on the horizon, having reliable security blankets like Freiermuth and Washington could be crucial. One intriguing possibility for 2025 is a more diverse approach to the tight end position. Earlier this offseason, Pittsburgh added Donald Parham Jr. to their roster. The 6'8" former Chargers tight end has been a red zone threat throughout his career, hauling in 11 touchdowns over 4 seasons. If the Steelers commit to a 3 tight end system with Freiermuth, Washington, and Parham, it could create significant mismatches for opposing defenses. Imagine a formation where all 3 are on the field at the same time, one in line, one in the slot, and one motioning across the formation. That would give the Steelers a level of unpredictability they haven't had in years. According to ESPN's Matt Miller, there is a very slim but interesting scenario in which the Steelers could end up with Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. We all know Sanders, the son of the legendary Deion Sanders, has been projected as a top 10 pick. His strong arm, pocket awareness, and leadership qualities make him one of the most sought-after quarterbacks in this draft. Miller recently stated that there's a 95% chance Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart gets picked in the first round. However, he added that the one situation that could push Dart down the board is if Sanders were to slip all the way to Pittsburgh at pick number 21. Now, let's be real. Most analysts don't see that happening. But the mere possibility is enough to make Steelers fans take notice. The Steelers have been doing extensive homework on draft-eligible quarterbacks, which means they are keeping their options open. And while waiting for Rodgers, they are making sure they have a plan B, C, and maybe even D if necessary. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has reported that the Steelers are in no rush to make a final quarterback decision. In fact, several sources within the league believe Pittsburgh has received some level of assurance from Rodgers that he will eventually sign with them. That's why they haven't panicked. But what if Rodgers decides to retire or delay his decision? Too long? That's where things get interesting. The Steelers have been linked to Kirk Cousins as a potential backup plan. However, trading for Cousins would be an expensive move. He signed a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons, with $100 million guaranteed. That's a hefty price tag, and Pittsburgh would need to take on a significant portion of his contract if they were to acquire him. But Cousins does have a full no-trade clause, meaning he could dictate where he ends up, and Pittsburgh could be an appealing destination. While a move for Cousins seems unlikely, the Steelers clearly want to cover all bases. Whether it's Rodgers, a rookie QB, or even a surprising veteran addition, Pittsburgh is making sure it doesn't enter the 2025 season unprepared. Now, let's not forget who is already in the building. Mason Rudolph remains on the roster, and while his previous performances in Pittsburgh were inconsistent, he did show flashes of potential in 2023. However, his disastrous 2024 season with the Tennessee Titans left a lot to be desired. With a 9-9 TD/INT ratio and one of the worst passer ratings of his career, it's fair to question whether Rudolph is truly a viable starting option. Beyond Rudolph, the Steelers have been linked to a number of mid-round quarterback prospects in the draft, meaning they could look for a developmental option even if they sign Rodgers. One of the biggest factors that could influence Pittsburgh's quarterback play in 2025 is the performance of new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Smith was brought in to bring stability and efficiency to the offense, but his impact on the Steelers' tight ends in 2024 was underwhelming. Many expected Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington to have breakout years under Smith's system. While Freiermuth had a solid season with 65 receptions and 7 touchdowns, he still received the third fewest targets of his 4-year career. Washington, meanwhile, remained an afterthought in the passing game, finishing with just 19 catches for 200 yards. Brian Batko of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette recently pointed out that Smith failed to maximize the tight end's potential in 2024. If the Steelers truly want to elevate their offense in 2025, they need more production from this unit. Adding to the mix is new tight end Donald Parham Jr., a massive 6'8" target who signed with Pittsburgh this offseason. He spent the past 4 years with the Los Angeles Chargers, where he hauled in 11 career touchdowns. If Smith can find a way to utilize Freiermuth, Washington, and Parham effectively, the Steelers could have a dangerous three-headed monster at tight end. So, Steelers Nation, here's where things stand. Aaron Rodgers remains unsigned, and his future is uncertain. If Rodgers doesn't sign, Kirk Cousins could be a legitimate backup option. Arthur Smith must improve his utilization of tight ends for the offense to take a step forward. The Steelers' decision at quarterback will have massive implications on their 2025 season. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you be open to the Steelers trading for Kirk Cousins if Rodgers doesn't sign? Do you think Arthur Smith will finally get the most out of Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more Steelers content. We've got tons of coverage coming your way as we approach the 2025 season. Thanks for watching. And as always, here we go, Steelers.